Hey guys. Hey guys, Chris and Michael here from Boxing Brothers Online Coaching, and today we're going to do a little video about working the ropes. Alright, so today's video is particularly about when you have your opponent up against the ropes. So in this instance, I've got Michael up against the ropes. What is the best game plan from here moving forward? How should I treat this really good opportunity that I can either cash in on and capitalise on, or completely blow and lose? Alright, so the first thing that you want to do when you get your opponent up against the ropes is make sure that you're avoiding that close range. Okay, so oftentimes you see a lot of people that get their opponent up against the ropes and they'll go straight in for these body rips, these mid to short range punches, looking for the hooks and the rips and the uppercuts, etc. at that mid to close range. They want to pressure them up against the ropes and really bang on with them. Now, as soon as I do that with Michael, so let's say I've got him up against the ropes, as soon as I come into this range, it's anyone's fight. Alright, because he can fire back and then it's going to be tit for tat. And no one's really winning the exchanges. So if I'm moving forward and I get in close and I start banging and Michael starts banging back, no one's really winning or losing these exchanges. Irrespective to whether he's up against the ropes or not, we're both throwing punches, we're both landing punches. I'm not really taking advantage of this opportunity where he's under pressure with the ropes and I'm not, okay? Another reason why you don't want to get too close is because if I'm here and I start banging him at that mid to short range, Michael can also tie me up. He can grab me, he can turn me, and he can end up throwing punches back, okay? So he can turn me, or he can just tie me up. He might just grab my hands, hug me, the referee will call a break. That was a bit of a neck hold. But anyway, referee will call a break, the opponent will tie up the hand, hug, and then you end up back in the centre of the ring and you lose this opportunity. What you want to be doing is once you get your opponent up against the ropes, you want to be staying at that long range, okay? You've got more control over your opponent at this range, and then you can fluctuate the range, and it's difficult for them to respond. Now, Michael needs to go out on a limb to throw a punch from this range. He needs to really, put himself out there if he wants to try to land a shot. Whereas on the inside here, he can throw and it's almost guaranteed that he's going to land at least on the guard. So when you get them up against the ropes, you want to keep that long range, pick your shots, keep it long, and then whenever you want to execute, you can execute from that long range and then step back out of range. You can keep them there for a longer period of time, you can pick your shots and you're not going to get hit in the process. Alright, so the next one you want to do is make sure that you're varying your power to manipulate your opponent's guard. So if Michael's up against the ropes now, and I come at him in third or fourth gear, just one tempo, and just pop, 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 Michael's going to climatise to that tempo, tighten his guard and just catch him all on the guard. And the likeliness of me not landing a lot of those shots because I'm just blasting, I'm not really aiming my shots and not varying my power to manipulate his guard and his guessing, it's going to be hard for me to land and I'm going to exert a lot of energy and not achieve very much. So when I got him up against the ropes, I want to give him a false sense of security. I want to make him feel comfortable. I want to give him a nice light jab, nice light right hand, nice relax, and then I'm like, boom! Crack him with that big right hook. And he's not going to be expecting it. It's very hard for your opponent to anticipate a sudden power shot. Now while I'm throwing those punches, he's using his parries, he's using his guard, he's slipping, and I can start seeing the openings and the opportunities. I can see him lifting his elbows up, I can see him trying to slip, and then I can start choosing my shots. And when I do start varying my power, bang, that jab to the body, lifting up, back to cruising again, ooh, big right uppercut, it's going to be very hard for him to determine when I'm committing to my shot and when I'm not. Alright, the next one is you need to be prepared to defend. Just because Michael's up against the ropes, it doesn't mean he's not going to fire back. So another common mistake that you'll often see, they'll get him up against the ropes and they'll become overconfident. So I might get Michael up against the ropes and I'll loosen my guard a little bit, right? I'll start being a little bit show-offy with my punches because he's the one up against the ropes and I'm not. I've got possession and control of the ring. But from here, Michael's still going to box me back, or so he should be anyway. Michael's still going to be fighting back. The fight is still on. My opponent is still going to be executing punches against me. So I don't want to get him up against the ropes and think that it's a heavy bag session all of a sudden. It's still a boxing match. The guy's still going to punch. If anything, this is when I'm most vulnerable because it's like I've cornered a cat and wants to get out of that corner. So up against those ropes, I want to be cautious because Michael will throw back. Yeah? And all it takes is one or two shots to distract me and create an opening for him to get out. So make sure that when you get your opponent up against the ropes, you're not all of a sudden doing bag drills, the guy's still punching, get ready to defend. Furthermore, when you do defend, you can start countering. And countering against your opponent up against the ropes is extremely effective. So if I'm up against Michael now, cruising, and he throws a shot, bang, boom, boom, working off his shot as a counter, extremely effective because he's got nowhere to go, and it creates further apprehension for him to throw punches under pressure against the ropes. Alright, the last one, it's important that you cut the ring off. Okay, so once you've executed all those things, the cutting of the ring kind of got you there, I guess. But once you've got the opponent there, you want to make sure that you're not letting him out. So in this instance, I might be up against Michael and he might move across somewhere. I want to be moving with him. I want to be tracking Michael across those ropes so that I can keep him up against those ropes. Yeah? Likewise, if he goes in the opposite direction, I want to be staying in front of him. Yeah? Even if it's subtle movement, he might have just take a couple of little cheeky steps. No, I'm going to stay there. Because all it takes is for Michael to get off centre ever so slightly and continue boxing me. No, even less, Michael. A little bit, just a touch, yeah, like that, and continue boxing me from there. And then I take a little bit this way. I give him an inch, he takes a mile, out he goes. Okay? And it all happened incrementally, especially if you're up against a crafty boxer. So, when you got him and they start shifting left or right, even if it's a little bit, you want to stay with them. You want to stay with them. You want to mirror their every single move. You want to be cautious with the angles as well. I know in the past I've done some videos where you got them up against ropes, you do a big angle and you smash them. It's all circumstantial. It all depends on the circumstances at hand. You don't want to always, especially if your opponent's on it, you don't want to be taking big angles out to execute attacks because then they can take the exit. Again, it depends on the opponent. If you find that up against your opponent, you can angle out and bang, bang, and they don't really do much about it, go for it. If you're finding that you're angling out and you're throwing and your opponent's doing the bolt, don't even bother. It all depends on the opponent. Nonetheless, make sure you're cutting off the ring and you're tracking your opponent when you've got them up against those ropes. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'll see you next time.